Black Fisher here with another episode for Fishing for Beginners. So today, what we're going to discuss is we're going to go ahead and discuss casting. First, we're going to start with the spinning rod. Then after that, we're going to talk about how to cast a casting rod. First, you're going to need to know some of the fundamentals about your reels. Then we're going to talk about different ways to get your lure out there. Get at me. All right, as I said, we're going to start off with this spinning rod. First thing you want to know about your first spinning rod is you want to know some of its components. As I stated before in other episodes, if you want to take a look for fishing for beginners, go ahead and check that out. Sorry, I got my buddies with me. I got to keep one eye on the camera, one eye on them, make sure they don't go running off or whatever. Anyway, so with the spinning rod, you got this bell right here, all right? And then with this handle, you can switch it up either whether you're left-handed or right-handed. So the first thing you want to do is when you get ready to cast is you want to put your finger right here on this line. You can either put your hand, like I usually keep my hand right between my fingers like so, or you could do it like this. That's pretty much it. So what you want to do is you want to take this line here up front in front of your bell, and you want to put that on your index finger right there on the trigger button. Then what you want to do is you want to turn this lever right here, and you want to put it up. All right. Make sure it's along that lever right there, so you don't get it caught up. Again, that line is right there on my trigger finger. As far as position for your lure, you want to ensure that it could be anywhere from 3 inches to 6 inches from the tip of the rod. So I use little metal leaders right there, which is about 6 inches from the lure right there. So I like to bring it up right to that metal lure or a metal lead when I make my cast. Now there's 2 ways you can do this. Either you could do an overhand cast, which I suggest for if you're just starting out. That way, it's kind of like pointing when you're casting. Wherever your hand goes, your lure is going to go more than likely, except of course if there's wind and things of that sort. Second way to get it out there is you could do a side cast. Now, sometimes you have to do your side cast. I mean, majority of the time when I cast, I do a side cast. But if I was first starting out, I would do the overhand cast. But sometimes when you're out here on the bank, you have structure that's in your way. You have trees, bushes, grass that may prevent you from doing an overhand cast. So that's when that side cast will come in handy. So I'm going to give you a little example right here. Always check the tip of your rod. Make sure your line's not caught up in there. Now I take my bell and I move it into position to put it on my trigger finger. I open my bell, and this is the overhead cast. So when the lure hits the water, what you want to do is don't reel it immediately. What you want to do is you want to take the bell and you want to click the bell with your hand. That'll save you a lot of maintenance. I'm going to go ahead and give you a few angles. Now I'm sure you're wondering, Black Fisher, do I have to use 2 hands or 1 hand to cast? Well, that's up to you. It's whatever you feel comfortable with. I myself personally, I feel comfortable with 2 hands because I feel like I have more control. Now you could do it with 1 hand as well. Here's some examples. Next up is the casting rod and reel. With your bait casting rod and reel combination, what you want to do is you want to make sure that your lure, what you want to make sure is you want to make adjustments for every lure that you use. You want to make sure that your lure slides down real smooth, not too quickly, but real smooth when you hit the release button. Now I know you're thinking, Black Fisher, how do I do that? Well, it's very important that you mess with your spool tension button, as well as your drag button. Now, before you get out there in the water, you're gonna wanna take some time to mess with that and adjust it to ensure that when you're casting out there, it'll prevent you from getting a bunch of spider webs. This is what it needs to look like when you're casting. First, what you're gonna do is you're gonna hit that little back release button right there, and you're gonna put your thumb on the spool there. Now, I like to use my trigger finger as the first one over here. I've seen people cast it like that, so I think it's kind of weird. But for me, I put it right in between my first and second finger. So again, I'm holding on to the spool. Take your other hand, put it at the bottom, and now you could either do an overhead cast, or you could do a side cast. Now for me, it depends on what kind of bait I use. Normally I don't use the overhand cast because my lures that I use are typically larger. So I like to use a side cast. If you've set your spool and drag tension correctly, you shouldn't have to worry about webs. Now, one of the things that I do to ensure that I don't have webs is as I release it, and before the lure hits the water, as I'll stop it with my thumb right here where the line is. Now, I have it in such a way that it doesn't really matter. I can just throw it out there and I don't get any spider webs because I got my stuff set perfectly. Let me show you one more again. Now that's what I'm talking about, son. Now if you would like to see me slay some fish, check me out right here and here.